Welcome to another Giant Sisters podcast with Joe Brothers. Today I'm here with Jenene Crossan. She's CEO and founder of Flossie and NZ Girl, Director and Trustee of Simplicity KiwiSaver. Jenene is winner of the 2016 Most Inspiring Individual at New Zealand Innovation Awards, and she's a digital entrepreneur specialising in predicting, understanding and developing technologies to underpin the evolving consumer behaviour. Welcome, Jenene.
Hi, thanks.
Hi. So, you and I have sort of crossed paths a few times in the last 20 years or so in the digital space, but I'd really love to understand in terms of your, life and career path and the power of intention. So how much did you design your career and how much did it just evolve?
It's a shame they can't see my face right now. The laughter of intent.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and it's fair to say when you're in this kind of space, there's never been any really big picture path because none of us really knew where it was going to go to. So no, when I started out back in 1999 in my own first digital business, and I had been in the industry for a couple of years at that stage, other than wanting to make a lot of money.
Good intention. Yeah.
That was about the extent of it.
Okay.
I have done a lot of following my nose since then.
So you started NZ Girl in 1999, which was New Zealand's largest online publication for women. What inspired you to start that?
Yeah, well, back in the day, there was a TV program called ASB Business, which was a morning program, and I used to watch that before becoming traffic into the city.
Yeah.
Back in the days when traffic wasn't really traffic.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing something on there about the internet and how this thing that at that stage was really a brochureware more than anything else, occasional bit of chat forums, but it wasn't anything else lifestyle-y, and that the teenagers were making it their own. How dare they? It's like everything, right?
Yeah.
Take over. And this was particularly about a company in the USA that had received some phenomenal amount of money funding, because as it was happening at that stage, pre-dot-com. Yeah, exactly. And I sort of looked at it and went, that's really interesting. I wonder what's happening in that space in New Zealand. And because I worked for a web development company at the time, I had access to quite a lot of data. And sorry, Frank. Went and looked at the data and said, well, you know, actually no one's really doing anything yet. Actually, they're coming into the online space more than any other age group. And so that's where the gem of the idea started. And from there it evolved into content, and it was actually about putting myself into the shoes of being a teenager. I wasn't that far off at that point, in fairness. I was 20.
It's a big move for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, and I was kind of that kid, it didn't necessarily faze me, the idea of doing something that nobody had ever done before. And it's never really fazed me. You know, the whole making up as I go along has always been something that I felt quite comfortable in. But I came up with a business plan, and it's not like I'd ever written a business plan before. I mean, I've never sat in an exam in my life. I left school at 16, I've done a completely non-linear path. You know, wasn't Google, would have been whatever it was, Alta Vista.
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, probably. Ask Jeeves, how do I create a business plan? And then probably follow the template.
Sure.
And then presented it to my mum and dad.
Well done,
and Nigel Varco, if you remember Nigel.
I do,
He was my boss at Webmasters. And mum and dad just sort of looked at me with blank faces. A little bit how they still do currently when I talk about the business, to be honest. And Nigel went, I think you should just go and give it a crack. And so I did.
Great.
Yeah.
And
20 years went past.
20 years, wow, incredible. And then that a new business, Flossie, came along.
Well, lots of other things came in between there. We had NZ Girl lived a whole variety of different lives. It's been a retail store, it's been a masthead ad network. It's had all sorts of iterations over the years. I also had a company called 18 Limited, which was a youth research agency, and we sold that to Research International in 2006.
Oh, cool.
And I had a company called Actual Mail, which we merged with another company in Australia.
Well done.
Yeah, so lots of little things. And so Flossie is, as an overall project, 7 years old, but in its current iteration, it is nearly 4.
And can you describe what Flossie is?
Sure, I can. So basically, it manifests as a customer consumer app.
Yeah.
Hair and beauty booking app. So a really simple way to be able to, within seconds, book your appointments. Be it the same place you go to again and again, or somewhere new, entirely up to you, all in real time. It's a two-sided marketplace with a two-sided piece of technology. On the other side, it acts as a smart payment service for an industry that's suffering from no-shows. Suffering from a changing consumer that's no longer booking 6 weeks in advance, and most often than not cancelling at the last minute.
Wow.
So we bring them a paid up customer that doesn't cancel.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really interesting business, and I wholeheartedly do love what we've created, but it's certainly been one of the more stressful periods of time I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, and talking about your most stressful periods of life, I was telling Jenene, I came across her a really amazing article that she released last week on Medium. Success, spelled SUCKSESS. Success. Yes, and with an image of I'm broken, with the emphasis on the okay, I guess, and the other word of the broken. Do you mind just talking us through a bit of that, how it came about that you wrote it, and sort of in essence what you were going through at that time?
It's funny because I actually haven't verbalised it as yet, as in I haven't told anyone out loud what it is that I wrote. Anytime I've written it, and I've sent it to people, and I've said, can you please read this? And I've made a point of sending it to my parents, my best friends, and all my close people around me, and said, look, this is going to be hard to read, and I'm really sorry in advance, and let's talk about it afterwards. And I had to sit my nearly 16-year-old stepdaughter down and get her to read it, and watch her face crumple into heartbreak, which was probably one of the worst parenting moments I've ever had. I knew it was the right thing to do, but it still sucked. Yes, And I haven't been quite brave enough to do it with the other two yet, but they're a bit younger, so I'm going to poke a bit more time. Yeah. But essentially, I wrote a blog about, or an article. It started off actually being a chapter of the book that I'm planning on writing, and then I had read an article from a founder in the US called Emily Best, entitled How Raising $2 Million in Seed Funding Really Went. Right. And I read that and was utterly related to it. It was very truthful about the highs and the lows and the horrific nature of raising capital. Yeah. Then I realised that it needed it out of me, and it needed it out now. And so waiting till I finished writing a book and making it perfect was not going to be cathartic enough in that moment. I had a desire to overshare as soon as humanly possible. And so in the space of time from reading her article to publishing was about an hour. Wow. Because I had written the guts of that. I'd actually spent that previous weekend writing it, and I thought it was too morose. That's why I didn't actually necessarily I wasn't sure what to do with it, because I didn't really want to write a book that just made people feel depressed. Sure, I understand. You wanted liberation for you and for others in this situation. Yeah, exactly. And so her article gave me, I guess, some framework, which was, my title would be how raising $5.5 million over 12 rounds of funding nearly killed me. And that title itself pretty much sums it up quite nicely. And then the ensuing story, finding myself lying on my bathroom floor, lining up the sleeping pills and the bottle of vodka. And the process I went through. And so when I wrote it, I had to get really, really honest with myself about all the emotions that I had felt. Because it's really easy to glean over stuff. Yes. Because that's what we're taught to do. Yeah. We're taught to glean. And write abstractively rather than in the emotional centre. Yeah. And it's not like I'm a talk writer in any way, shape or form. You can tell from my grammar and my mild dyslexia, bits I miss and to come back, I need a sub-editor. It's the story and the energy, I always believe, that's most important. Yeah, and I had already sort of settled on the fact that I wanted to have, I guess, a confessional tone to it. I wanted it to be really brutally frank. I wanted to be someone who could pick up, be that they're in business or not in business, and equally there's something in there that they could potentially relate to. Yeah. And I guess I found over this last week subsequently that has been the way that people have related to it. So good little acid test. Give the book some idea of going forward. Yeah. So the background for our listeners that perhaps haven't read the blog post as yet, and we will link it in the details below, but do you mind just giving them a bit of a
quick overview.
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to write about, I guess, that moment where I found myself post the trauma of the last couple of years. And because in a business like Flossie, we have taken a path of raising capital in order to fund our business and our growth.
Yes.
Now, I guess there's two paths that you can take with business, right? You can either take a path of not raising money and aiming for profitability as soon as humanly possible.
Yes.
Or you can look to create a business that's all about growth and, these idea of creating these enormous businesses, which is not necessarily likely, but it's the trend.
Yes.
And it's something I've always wanted to do, and I feel very strongly about Flossie being a scalable global opportunity.
Yes.
And I feel that not based on my own viewpoint, but I spend a lot of time on the market around the world, meeting lots of people.
Absolutely.
And coming back and knowing that we've got the goods. So I feel very very strongly about what we have here and what we've created, and I'm very proud of that technology. It's a work of art in many ways. But, it's not an easy process raising money, especially if you're a female founder with a female-centric product and you're doing it from New Zealand.
Yes.
We don't have a particularly mature capital raising structure in New Zealand. We've got a lot of people who are what I call quasi-angel investors, and they don't mind throwing 20 or 50 grand in here and there. And lots of people with great intent, and I think that's wonderful for us to have.
Yes.
What we lack is probably a lot of structure of helping businesses understand what is the path that they should take in order to get to those next steps of funding. Yeah. Because it does dry up on this marketplace. Those guys have a certain, and I say guys because largely they are. Is that they have a limit. They'll do once and they're out. It's something that has nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with the fact that they only put something in once and then they move on. And so I guess the synopsis is that I had of experience over the last few years, the highs and lows of raising cash in order to grow a business that's been growing at 800% a year.
Wow.
And coming very, very close to running out of cash a couple of times, in spite of the fact that it has met every milestone, that it has just killed every projection and continuously just blown all things out of the water. People go, looks great, but not for me. And you just sort of spend hours and hours and hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours, probably more like thousands, of hearing no, and feeling that you're, I've talked about this idea of going through A to Z via every letter in the alphabet. I've always, alongside this, I'm always standing on stages and doing speeches and all the rest of it, and I'm going to keep it up, and what you should do is, and yada, yada, yada. And then kind of get into this moment in time where I realised that none of what I was doing was actually working.
Right, yeah.
And I guess I became broken over a period of time of not feeling that I could do it, that I had what was required, and I never felt that way. I had resilience in spades, but the realisation that resilience is built on self-belief, and when self-belief gets enough hammering, it can actually disappear on you.
Yeah. And knowing you as a person, you would have put 150% into everything, so putting that in consistently and not seeing the return would have been
demoralising.
Right. Yeah.
And hindsight, I call it 30-20. Everyone calls it 20-20. Actually, there's way more critique you put on hindsight.
Yes, right.
And the reality is, I can look back on it and I can pinpoint a whole variety of things that we could have done better and smarter and perhaps got further down the path.
Right.
But that's just the reality of making it up as you go along.
Absolutely.
There is no blueprint. You are doing the best you can with what you've got. Does it mean I could have listened better at times? Probably. Does it mean that I could have stopped and smelled the roses for a bit longer at other points? Absolutely. I wish I had sought out different pieces of advice from different people and got different people around me, perhaps who had different perspectives. Unequivocally, those things would have helped. But I have what I have, and I've got where I've got with what we had.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And unfortunately, all those things, and in amongst that, I had a massive personal toll. I'd had years of IVF. I've got severe endometriosis, and I had one operation after the other. I've had my appendix out, I had my bladder operated on, and it was just huge amounts.
Your body's taking the toll of all of the stress.
Absolutely. Yes. And all sorts of alternative therapies. I'm relying on the acupuncturist's bed and him saying in his quite broken English, "Your chi is no good."
No, which means no energy, right? No energy flow.
Basically, I'm broken. And I think that was pretty much the worst thing that anyone could have ever told me in that moment. I was just bawling my eyes out, going, "I've broken my chi. I don't know how to fix my chi."
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a little bit out of my control.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure how else to say to gather the synopsis of which is basically the blog I wrote was a story of that and what that was like for me and hitting that rock bottom and realising that perhaps the rock bottom had a trap door and maybe it was a little bit further to go down and then actually inevitably from there's only one way to go.
That's up. That's great.
Exactly.
So when did the moment come where you were in the bathroom? Was that
a couple of months back now?
Yeah.
And I have been through a lot since then. There was a moment of clarity of I needed to make some major change. And Scotty and I my husband have a saying in our relationship: I would rather be happy than right.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things you learn with age, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Or by third marriage. And that had been about that same synopsis I'd taken into the business, that I had a very clear view as to how we should build this. And actually maybe I wasn't right. And maybe I needed to accept the fact that strategy wasn't going to fly. Even if I felt in my bones that it was the right thing to do. I wasn't getting the support for it from a funding point of view, so I had to figure out how else to get the funding. And that required an entire disruption of the business. I had to actually just go in and rip it apart.
Right.
Which was incredibly difficult to do when I have the most extraordinary team of people who have put their life and sweat, blood and tears into this thing, and I had to strip 3/4 of them out of it. Because I just needed to go, we're going to run our own 2 feet. We can't not rely on funding anymore. Yeah. It's all right, New Zealand needs to be profitable from now. Australia needs to be profitable within a year. We've got enough money to get us through to that.
Yeah.
And if we want to grow in the other markets, that's where new money comes from. And the whole thing needs to be wiped out. And so as I went through that process of doing that, I started to make space for myself.
That's great.
And that's what I've had to do, is try to figure out how to make space for me to separate Jenene from Flossie.
That's my next question. So what tools have you found or methods that are helping you reconnect to your chi and the balance and probably reclaiming some of your personal time, I'm imagining, and space back?
Yeah, well, and to be honest, I don't know all the answers yet. All I know is that hitting rock bottom was a catalyst for doing so. And the Jenene of old would have gone, right, I'm going to, and then written a list of all the things I'm going to do. I did start writing because I love writing. I think you can probably see that in my writing. I really enjoy it. And I started writing when I realised that they weren't goals that I was writing down, they were feelings. They were things of how I wanted to feel again.
Yes.
And so it was less about get fit, run a half marathon, do yoga 3 times a week, yada yada, which is what I would have done in the past. I actually went, I'm going to take all the pressure off I can, and I'm going to let that sit for a while. I'm going to create a space around me. And that means I have to be protective of that space and not let everybody else try and fill it. And for Scotty, it's like, I'm sorry, that doesn't mean I'm picking the kids up from school every day, sorry. Because it was really easy for him to go, oh, now that you're not, can you?
Yes.
No, because I want to go walking on the beach in the afternoons with the dog.
Yeah.
And I want to sleep in the morning and not get up at 5 in the morning anymore. Whatever days I want to. Just for a while. I'm sure this will move again. But right now, I want to make the space I can so I don't rush. You rushing out the door now is actually not that often. I'm getting better at not rushing.
Yeah.
And avoiding spending 2.5 hours a day in traffic. And
absolutely.
Just the things that have been adding extra pressure to myself that just need to come off.
Yeah, I really like what you said, especially about how you want to feel and the words rather than tasks or goals in the traditional sense.
I mean, it's such a chick thing to do, right? I reckon I've probably had at least 100 calls where you should try yoga in the last week. I appreciate the sentiment. I have tried yoga lots and I like to breathe. I think it's quite essential. but I don't know if it's necessarily exactly what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
I just need to get down on my floor and stretch in the morning and stretch at night and take a moment to breathe.
Yes.
And then maybe I'll go do some yoga.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for being so, honest and open and sharing this with us and our listeners, and, for sharing it. Because I know that a lot of this will help a lot of people, and maybe pre-identify that they could be in a similar situation, maybe not as extreme as you, and maybe other people are in exactly the same situation. And I know you shared with me that you've received fabulous feedback from all around the world.
Yeah, and frightening feedback. Like fabulous in the sense that it's cathartic to know they're not alone, but frightening in the sense that, wow, there's a lot of lonely people. A lot of lonely people, and some of them made me cry. I was just like, wow, this is sad. Like, you've been feeling like that for how long, mate? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Which I'm sure how I made lots of other people feel in what I had written.
Right.
But I guess it's been very raw, and it's not something you do for fun. You don't do it for self-promotion because you want to hear yourself on the radio or anything. You do it because, well, I didn't actually necessarily know it front way, other than the fact that I knew that I needed it out.
Yeah.
And by doing so, it was holding myself accountable. I was letting go of a way that I had done something.
Yes.
And I actually feel a little bit like I've shed a skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, which means I'm a little bit new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably keep me out of the sun for a while.
Yeah. And I usually ask, what challenges have you experienced that have shaped you as a person the most? I think we've just done that one. If you had a message that you'd like to share with all women, what would that one message be? It could be personal, career, it could be both.
It's funny, when I became a stepmom, I realised that martyrdom was something that mothers did really well.
Right.
We do this whole I must be. And I've got lots of friends that fall into that category. They have perfect underwear drawers and amongst everything else. I'm like, really? Geez, you see my wardrobe, it's horrific.
Yeah.
Take that pressure off yourself. But a lot of it's about control, right? It's about how do I handle the chaos in my world, and this is the way in which I can do it. And I think I thought I was quite special because I knew it and I could see it and I could go, I know how not to do that. My wardrobe is a mess,
Yeah, right.
But actually, I have been guilty of being that in my own business.
Right.
And being the martyr, as Ben Keeps had pointed out, the superhero that everyone expected you to be. And actually, I guess I wanted to speak more truth. Someone sent me an email yesterday saying that he'd been in a meeting and the founder was pitched, and the founder had been asked, what's the key risk within this business? Because you always get asked that question, and usually it's like a job interview. Tell us your biggest weaknesses. And everyone goes, well, I'm a perfectionist.
I like to say yes to everything.
Yeah, exactly. And this person actually sees my mental health.
Wow.
And keeping healthy. And I thought, wow, how brave. And we talk about bravery and the whole giving up a paycheck and doing something that you don't never done before. Actually, being honest about that journey and telling other people about exactly how crap it can be, as much as you might feel like you're putting too much out there and it might put some people off. I think it'll attract you the right people. Because actually the people who want you to be perfect probably aren't right for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a hard lesson to learn.
Well, that's good. No, that is wonderful advice. Do you have any new projects or innovations on the boil? I think you've mentioned a book a few times. Is that?
Yeah, and I'm refusing to put a dedeadline or even a particular genre on it yet.
Absolutely.
It was going to be called Success. Yeah. It may yet still be. You never know.
It has an energy in a life of its own. It will tell you, right?
Yeah, and all I want to do at the moment is just keep writing until I sort of feel that I've found something that I want to write more about, and I don't know whether that necessarily has to take the shape of a book.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not particularly traditionalist. I can do it if you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wrote a children's book last year. I really enjoyed that. So
yeah.
It's part of me that kind of likes doing it again.
I've written some 10 children's books as well.
Yeah, that's funny.
Imagination, fantasy, I love it.
Yeah. Ooh, fantasy book. Maybe I could write a romantic novel.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Probably members. But directorships, a couple of directorships.
Yeah.
Flossie obviously will still be my main project, but it's shifting from being operational founder to strategic founder. And that's how I'm seeing this kind of pre-40, post-40 Jenene. It's moving from being really hands-on founder to actually strategic thinker.
Yes.
Thinking more of a helicopter view of what I do and how can I add value. And at the moment, I'm at discussion point. Bring people together for discussions and see if I can figure out from there what I can add value in.
That's good. That sounds good. So as you reflect on New Zealand's 125-year anniversary for suffrage, what's your thoughts on the status quo here in New Zealand and around the world for the opportunities of girls and women?
Gosh, I kind of go like this on it.
Up and down, right?
Yeah, there was something I was listening to this morning, and it's like, what? How many men and no women involved? I can't remember what it was. I was horrified.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Sometimes I feel like we've moved so far forward, and other times I just go, God, I've got so far to go yet. I still think the opportunities that exist are for people who are willing to put themselves out there.
Yes.
No matter your gender.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of had this view of I don't necessarily want to get into gender specific things. That's why I don't really get into all the specific women's clubs, because I kind of go, no, I just want to be amongst everything doing it.
Yeah.
And I happen to be a woman doing it.
Yes.
And I guess that what I tell our girls is the opportunities are only as small as of what they want them to be. Their life can be as broad as they would like them. It's whether they want them to be, and how can they figure out how to find happiness through that. I worry for the next generation. And there's so much pressure on them to be a certain way. It's a terrible answer. I don't know, in all honesty. I don't know what it all looks like. All I know that it's going to be probably more pressure filled than it is now.
I think it's a very good answer and a very honest answer, and I think you're right. We don't know what it's going to look like, and all we can do is live in each moment every day and do the best we can, right?
Yeah, and teach our girls to be okay with who they are as individuals.
Yes, absolutely.
And embrace things that are in front of them. Like the way we talk to our, I've got 3 stepdaughters and they're nearly 12, 14, 16, is I don't really care what they do. I want them to sample everything that the world has to offer. Don't paint themselves into a corner. Go and see it all, try it all, smell it all, touch it all, taste it all, all the rest of it. But be kind, and be accountable, and I guess leave things better than you found them.
Absolutely.
And actually, they're kind of the hardest lessons, right? Because teaching a teenager to find something that's better than they found it is quite hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we plug away.
Yeah.
and hope that one day it'll sink in and they'll go, oh, right, that's what you meant.
I think that's really good advice. Now, one last question, Jenene. If you could go back in a time machine and tell your 20-year-old self something, what would be just one thing you'd say? Don't
cancel your health insurance in your mid-20s and change providers, because it'll really screw you.
It's a great piece of advice.
I'm not covered for endometriosis with Southern Cross, which really sucks.
Right.
Pre-existing symptoms. But there's a whole other months of problems. But that would be one of them, actually. It would be right at the top. The second one would probably be go offshore as quickly as you can. I didn't come from a family that travelled.
You're right.
And, it's a very lower middle class, suburban upbringing. Nothing particularly flavoursome about anything in there. And the fact that Dad was quite entrepreneurial. And he travelled for work, but nobody thought travel for pleasure and exploration.
Experiences.
And given the way I thought at 22, the way that my brain worked, and I don't blame anything on anyone ever. I'm my own person to make my own decisions. I'm certainly very headstrong. But I wish someone who I really respected had planted the seed in my head. Go and take this and go to Silicon Valley. Go!
Absolutely, yeah.
I really wish I'd had that, because it hadn't even occurred to me. So that's probably what I would tell my 20-year-old self is, don't get married for the love of God. And just, would you leave the country already?
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate you talking to us today. Thanks, Jenene.
Absolute pleasure.